Zero Authority is a community of people who believe in open source and permissionless systems. Thanks for supporting the community. Remember why you started.
We believe in this opportunity to work in Web3, and people coming in will be a massive shift.
There's a lot of opportunities that are for naught, they're lost, and their people's skills and their what they're really capable of doing is not able to be shined through right now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are. We are Zero Authority. We are a community of people who believe in open source and permissionless systems. Today, we have a great conversation with Mike, and he's actually Overlord on Twitter, in parentheses, Mike. Mike is one of the co-founders of Asigna, and Asigna is a non-custodial multisig wallet for Bitcoin, Ordinals, and the Stack ecosystem. So we're super excited to talk to Mike today. We've seen really great things coming out about the growing use cases for multi-sig wallet with Asigna. They recently just put out a couple of tweets that were really impressive. Just being on mainnet, already having people and some significant protocols like Arcadico use Asigna for some multi-sig wallet integration. So with that being said, Mike, how are you today, my friend? Mike, you there?
I am here. Sorry, brief technical difficulty. Yeah, no, I'm thrilled to be here. Absolutely amazing. Love the opportunity to talk with other, builders and enthusiasts. Love the chance to educate and bring some awareness to some good security and all that good stuff.
Yeah, awesome to be able to talk with you here today. So how did you guys get started in the Bitcoin space, building a wallet like this? I'm sure you've been around for quite a while and understand the need.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually got my background's in IT. So early on in backroom IT chat security threads, I started kind of hearing about BTC and then have been involved for, pretty close to the beginning of it. And I've watched as people who had nominal amounts of value in BTC all of a sudden found themselves sitting on millions or tens of millions of dollars worth of value. And as we all know, people, lose laptops, phones, whatever, but people realized there was a need for a different type of security than just one person dying or running away with the seed phrase or the private keys. So multi signatures came along, and it was kind of boring because what it did is it secured your Bitcoin. That was great. But now we're doing programmatic stuff on Bitcoin, and now we've got Bitcoin L2s like stacks, and now we're going into what looks like another bull, and all of a sudden people are going to discover they're sitting on more value than they thought with that, single seed phrase or that Xverse wallet in their pocket. So we have a background having worked on some DeFi wallets and stuff on Ethereum and some of the other chains. And when we saw the interest of ordinals and stacks and all that sort of being renewed and reinvigorated, it was kind of like coming home. We got to return to kind of where we started in our roots and take some of the stuff we had learned along the way and use that to help out this growing ecosystem, the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Yeah, the multi-sig on Bitcoin, and especially like you said, with all of the things coming online for how people might be using this in the near future, I think it's just really great, and for people to not have to sacrifice security to be able to do more with their Bitcoin is pretty huge. So I think Bitcoiners are naturally hesitant and they want to be very cautious, and so giving them tools where they can still be in kind of in their nature, but also still be the experimental type of people that they are. I think that's, you guys are unlocking that.
Absolutely. And that's really the sort of the goal, I guess, is we want to help bridge those Bitcoiners over to the new angle. Bring that big value over to all this cool new stuff that's getting built.
So, Mike, we're really glad to have you guys on, and it's been really phenomenal to see you guys launch. We're just like super stoked. I mean, us at Zero Authority with our Cerulean marketplace, like we're even thinking about how can we have organizations using our marketplace and using a multi-sig wallet like Asigna, for example. Talk about just like the community feedback and support once you guys launched here. Have you been like pleasantly surprised?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, man, I when I came into Bitcoin, if you needed help compiling your wallet, which is how it worked, it was just go to the get the code, compile it, hope you did it right. And if you asked, people would just yell at you to Google it, and then that continued on to Reddit and so many places where there was the original adopters had no patience to, talk with anyone. So it's great for me to be able to, be in this position where when we came back to this new development energy, all this great stuff, it is so inviting. I would never have considered tweeting, much less talking on spaces, back in the day, because it was such a community of straight-minded. There wasn't really much discussion. You just kind of had to echo it. But now, man, it's really, really been welcoming and inviting. And now we are much more, because of everyone doesn't need a multi-sig. And even if you do need multi-sigs, you don't need them all the time. They're kind of specific. So we're a lot kind of business facing, institution facing, maybe high net worth individuals or stuff like that. But the thing is anyone here with a handful of random, ordinals or, tokens, BRC20s, whatever, could all of a sudden find themselves to be a high net worth individual. And I think it's already happened even just over this latest little run we've had. So the feedback, of course,
People
from
find
business.
some Satoshis sitting in that wallet that they forgot years ago.
That's right. That's exactly right. People I mean, it's a lot of fun out there, right? But the feedback from, the business angle is great. They've kind of needed this because once again, this hit like lightning, and it was sort of so fast that there wasn't a solution yet. So we're refining our user experience. On the Stack side, there's a lot of programmability, so we can help with like payrolls for projects. And no matter what you do, it does allow for organization and oversight, meaning you can have a collaborative DAO where you may not know someone's first name, but you also know that they can't steal any funds without at least five other people from the group helping them, right? So there's a lot of new flexibility for people to sort of organize and manage and secure not just Bitcoin, but all their Bitcoin related assets.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that can be done with it too. If you think about it, you're talking about high net worth individuals or people that are might be soon. I think there's also a good use case of people that might be new to all of this, where they're very scared of doing the wrong thing. Like, say you got your uncle or your father or something, and they wanted to give all this stuff a try. You could have it set up so that you kind of have to sign off on it. You give them some training wheels so they don't do the wrong thing, and they get a little bit of comfort level of what to do and what not to do without feeling like they're the only one in control of the funds that they could screw up, right?
I mean, you make one of those use cases that a lot of people think security, sure, oversight, but exactly as you're pointing out, there's creative ways to help manage things, right? So absolutely, you need, you know, an extra someone in the fam or whoever the expert is, just, hey, take a quick look. They look at it, they agree that's a good transaction, not a scam, go for it. And then when they're feeling great, they can take it over. Also, if you think about, you know, how you're planning to leave your Bitcoin ordinals, any assets, tokens, whatever, to in your will. Well, that's tricky because do you give lawyers your private key? Do you give a family member that you might have a falling out with over the next year your private key and trust that they won't use it until or do you give your kids their private keys right now and then they just need the lawyer to add his, and then the lawyer can't rip you off because he can't sign without those two, and then they can't rip anyone off because they need each other to sign. So there's even sort of, uh, generational custody ability with this. And don't forget, most Bitcoin is not actually stolen, it's lost. It's people lose their keys. So you can actually set up a multisig where you issue a few different keys, and now you can keep them in maybe two spots. So if one house burns down, it's elsewhere, or you can make it so that it has to be reassembled, and then you can give friends or family a key that's actually useless to them, right? And even if they accidentally share it or show it to someone, that's not enough for someone to necessarily locate and sign, your vault or transaction. So it's very, very flexible as a tool, and obviously some pretty necessary infrastructure as this sector grows.
Mike, I was laughing hysterically because I tell newcomers all the time that they'll say, well, what if I get hacked? And I'm like, that's a possibility, but the most common thing that happens that goes wrong is you'll probably just lose your private key and lose all of your crypto.
I mean, statistically, I think it's still 100% that way. People have just lost it. It has not been hacked. It's not been stolen. They haven't been armed, robbed, or anything like that. They just lost that USB stick or can't find that notepad.
Oh man. Yeah. For what you guys are building, you kind of had mentioned you guys are going to go into the accelerator and think about raising some funds later here. Are you surprised how fast the ecosystem has evolved where we have accelerators now and have people who can provide that type of level of support for companies that are early building on Bitcoin, building on stacks?
I mean, I honestly kind of am. I was at the Blockstack ICO, and I actually I kick myself all the time. I still can't find that Stacks wallet. I found a bunch of seeds for Stacks wallets. None of them have my original bit. But sorry, I actually just completely lost my train of thought on that one.
Mike, we can't just we're not going to
No, the emotion hit me so hard I even lost what I was talking about. I was like, damn that wallet.
So you too have experience. So I always tell people, like, you haven't been in crypto unless you've lost some crypto, unless you've sent it to the wrong wallet or got hacked. And that's like, you officially have been in crypto.
That's the truth, man. And it is what it is. We're taking that risk for that bigger lopsided reward potential. And even someone like me, I am tinfoil hat, man. I have air gap stuff. I have cold wallets. Look, I've got implants, right? Like no one is gonna, pull one over on me, except they still do. Except the other day I linked up, and if I hadn't just noticed out of the corner of my eye the transaction authorization looked a little different than what I thought I was doing, I would have got again. So it takes training. That's like, I don't know, moving to a big city. Hey kid, come here. Let's make you can make $20 and then some guy scamming you.
Yeah, it really is true. And we all can catch ourselves, right? We're kind of our own worst enemy. I've been in that situation before where you think you're being so smart and then you're like, did I outsmart myself? I hope not. So that definitely happens. I tell you, I dug into your guys' product the other week and was giving it a try. Was really cool, the features you guys have now. If you want to dive into that, kind of what people can do right now with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, you can store BRC20s, Ordinals, Bitcoin, You can take some of the Bitcoin wallets that aren't really ordinal ready, and you can start a one-of-one multi-sig, so you don't have to worry about a bunch of signing and all that. It just kind of, you're just basically going through our interface. And that can sort of enable, like a SegWit or something signing wallet to use ordinals and store them safely. We have an awesome suite for Stacks. Stacks, of course, is different than Taproot, where you're kind of limited to the scripts, and is a much more robust, Clarity is much more robust at allowing programmability for whatever assets or whatever you're trying to do over there. And so that has allowed us to pull a few tricks that are really neat, like stream pay, for instance, where you let's say you're the payroll manager, or you're issuing the grants, and basically over time a certain amount unlocks, and then without needing to get everyone together to make a multi-sig, just the person that was authorized can claim it right as it unlocks. And then, of course, if they get fired, the multi-sig signers can just, close that down and everyone moves on. But it reassures the people, that are being paid that the money's there, right? Even though it's an understood unlock. There's also other things like time unlocks. We've got, and you'll have to pardon me on this one. I'm definitely not the engineer, so I'm going to stick to things I know that are functioning. We've got SBTC stuff coming out, but that's, of course, on the testnet until Nakamoto hits. But basically, anything you would need to manage all of the on-chain assets, right, including ordinals and Stacks tokens and Stacks NFTs and BRC20s, and obviously we're going to roll support for runes and the rest when they come out. We're working on tooling for managing all the rare sats and everything as they grow in popularity, so that will probably be available soon. But we're trying to keep up with all of it. But yeah, right now BRC20, ordinals, anything on Stacks, and so many. A lot of it is going to be, and I'm going to work on this myself because I know that the UI and UX is getting more and more important. But I want to open up some of these creative options, like maybe what are you trying to do? I want to make sure my kids get my Bitcoin if I die. I want to make sure my company doesn't implode if I'm in a car wreck and in a coma for 3 days, right? And it kind of will give you a guide on how to set it up. Kind of like LegalZoom or something, where they're, who's your CEO, who's your treasurer, all that, except of course it's who's your signers, where's it going? And then you can also set up multiple multi-sigs. So let's say you've got, you just did a raise, $10 million sitting in your treasury. And now you need to delegate that out. So you've got an HR department, and they have certain expenses plus payroll. So you would take, the chunk, maybe monthly, all the founders get together, they sign, shoot it off to these sub DAOs or these sub wallets. And then you don't need as many people on those. You just need maybe not just one person to be in charge in case they, turn out to have a gambling addiction or something, right? You need another person there just to also sign off, but not like maybe 5 people, right? Like that you would need to guard the 10 million from people, maybe aligning to steal it together. But as you can imagine, there's still a lot of UI and UX to go, but as it is, it's so beautifully simple that anyone can use it.
One thing you said that like really piqued my curiosity. I mean, I think it was about probably a year ago now. We were talking to someone. They were building DAO tooling and primitives on Stacks and Bitcoin, and I think they kind of had to pivot for various reasons. Maybe they raised a round and they just weren't getting the traction. Then the bull run turned into crypto winter. So we saw just a lot of people just leave and just forget about crypto. And I kept telling people, and Hodl Stacks, we'd have our daily and weekly conversations, like, man, it is quiet around here. you jump on a Twitter space and it was just you, some random guy that you see all the time, and a couple other folks.
Bro, I mean, you cannot be more correct. I remember I came in on the early bit, and then, there was like maybe on the popular ones, a few hundred people in there. And then I remember going to some of the bigger shows and seeing like 26 people. And then, like you say, a lot of the others, just me or just some guy in there. And I'd feel bad. If I was the only one I didn't want to leave, I'd just be like, oh, crap.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah, man, it's crazy. We sat there and we saw that, and it was tough because some people had some really innovative things they were building, and then all of a sudden there's no users for the innovation, and that kind of really stunk. But I think January 2023, I guess, was probably the quietest part right before Ordinals. So when Ordinals took off, it was like all of a sudden it was a whole new influx of interest and everything. But yeah, I'm pretty excited too about you guys are talking about kind of company management, DAO management, things like that on for Bitcoin. Everybody talks about wanting to use Bitcoin as the daily money for everything, but we need tools like this to be able to do it and to be able to do it effectively. So the degen gambling addict doesn't crumble your company, right?
No, it's true. And someone has to think big on this. And um, I love all the new energy, all the new people coming in, but they're still learning. So we don't want to wait until they build this infrastructure. What we want to do is make sure that no matter how much wealth someone wants to bring on or into the market, or how much wealth what they've already accumulated blows up into over the next year, we just want to make sure they have the ability to manage it so it doesn't go anywhere else. And let's all remember that we are all the rug. It is all of us trusting things like Mt. Gox, FTX, right? All of us now, trusting, linking our wallets to things. All of us not taking the extra step to really put the seed phrase somewhere or not leave it on a copy note on our laptop, And if you don't have the tools, you can't get frustrated with people for not at least trying, right, to secure things. But imagine if like FTX had an honest multi-sig, right? There would have been one guy that didn't want to go to jail that was like, I don't think I'm signing this, guys.
Yeah, that's right. All it takes is one good faith actor then, and that's a lot. I have that much faith in the world that there's at least one good faith actor in any group. So uh, you would think so, at least.
I really do agree with that. I mean, I know that I just can't. It's not nothing, none of that's worth it for me to really pull something like that. And I just be like, whatever, come at me, I guess. I'm not gonna break the law.
Hey, Mike, something you said, and I wanted to go back to it. So we kind of saw some people building some DAO solutions. Let me give you an example. And a lot of people probably even forgot that this even happened. And I don't even know how many people are playing the game right now. But okay, here's an example. So Megapont, early on when they launched their first NFT project on Stacks, I mean, it was an absolute hit. It was kind of like, and it really reminded me of Ethereum with CryptoKitties back in 2017, where they do the mint and then it would crash the network. Megapont was crashing the Stacks network. Now it wasn't going down, but I mean, boy, it was like a crazy bottleneck to get any of the transactions through in the mempool. And so that kind of having those memories kind of it's kind of nostalgic in a way. Now that we're going towards the Nakamoto, where we're going to have 5-second block times. Oh,
Yeah.
yeehaw! You know what? I'm gonna have to do one of these. Here we go. Which ones? There we go. Get the air horns to use that enough. But so Megapont, they had their collection, and then it kind of had a creator frenzy around it, and they still have that. But two guys, they went off to create Project Indigo, and they actually created this game with their NFTs, and that's actually my PFP is from one of the characters in Project Indigo, and I really love the art. Now, if there was a tool like Asigna where Megapont DAO, they could have had their treasury, and then these two wanted to go they created this really successful NFT project. They could have funded their DAO within a DAO with Asigna and said, here's a couple of tokens, go build it, and then fund your treasury later, and then we could benefit from that. Like I always think about that recent creators just collaborating together, but there was no solutions or tooling for there to even like be this concept of a DAO within a DAO.
That's absolutely right. And I am a big proponent of, nothing I'm about to say is legal advice. I'm just going to speak from my understanding based on my experience. And everyone can take it for what it is. Not a lawyer, but there is no legal protection inherent in a DAO unless you are in a country or state that has specifically written language in. And at that point, it's nothing special. It becomes another word for an LLC, right? So my opinion on this is call it a DAO, organize how you want, talk on Discord, talk on Telegram, text each other, whatever. But if the signers are spread out and kept confidential as possible, obviously, someone will know something somewhere. But at that point, think about that old story about there was I'm going to butcher this, but there was a mayor in some Chinese town. He was terrible. Everyone hated him, but no one dare murder him and get hung for the crime. So they invite him out to dinner, and all like 30 people at dinner at the same time take a bite out of him, and he dies, and no one can prove which bite killed him. So everyone goes free. I'm sure it's a fable or a myth or whatever, but it's kind of like that with the multisig. Okay. You've got this, and I'm talking like there's countries out there that encryption's illegal in, right? There's countries out there where transacting in different currencies is illegal. And that's part of what Bitcoin was meant to help with, right? Is to open up these oppressive channels. So for me, having it, okay, someone comes to me, where'd you get all this money in this wallet? And I say, that's not my wallet, and they say, yes, it is. And I say, okay, let's prove that in a court of law. That's my wallet. Well, they can't. No one can find anything that's going to make that wallet do anything, right? They can take all my private keys, they can toss my house, take all my computers. So for me, if you are a cypherpunk leaning type, then a multisig is essential to the structure, regardless of what you call yourselves, DAO, club, whatever, because that's what's going to protect everyone. Number one, no one will be able to demonstrate someone has control of the multisig, the vault. And number two, if someone is incarcerated or whatever, or is simply no longer, for whatever reasons, their lawyer said don't participate, you're not crippled. The rest of the people can still authorize transactions and also, set up another multisig with new, people willing to take the helm. But yeah, I mean, I think sometimes, I think almost the multisig is the DAO, if that makes sense. And then you need sub DAOs.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you think about a DAO, everything is supposed to be on chain, and so with something like Stacks, you can provide some quite complex functionality based upon that wallet, and then if you have sub DAOs within that wallet, what they sign, what they agree to, the flow of money and information is, as long as those controls and policies are in place in the wallet, it really is the DAO, I would say.
Yeah, and we're too early, and I don't want to I think soon, once the technology is available and everyone's had time to get up to speed, a lot of people here have never worked with Bitcoin. They're only here for the ordinals. A lot of people, are going to come in new to DeFi on Stacks because it's going to have super fast transactions. And we need to make sure that we've got a net to catch them and that they can go and ask this question of the project they're thinking about investing in. Hey, can we see the multisig address, right? Can you tell us how many signers there are, maybe who they are? You don't have to fully dox them. see who they are on Twitter. If they've had a Twitter account that's 2 days old, then that's not a very credible signer, right? So this will become part of people's diligence, right? Because you need the oversight. You need to know that one guy can't wreck his motorcycle or I don't know, just abscond with everything because he's able to, and the prices shoot up. We all remember when a sushi chef dumped all the sushi because it just got too much for him. He couldn't sit there and watch all those millions and not take some. But if that had all been locked in a multi-sig divest properly and all that, it never would have been an issue.
Yeah, it's so true. And if the tools are available and then people don't use them, that also makes you start scratching your head, right? So you're like, oh, how come you guys aren't doing this? There's a right way and a wrong way to do things. So the right way is easy and capable. It's like, hey, we got it, right?
Yeah, and you would need a pretty convincing excuse for everyone why no multi-sig. It enhances anonymity. So if you're trying to be in a non-project, we're not calling that out, right? That's part of the Bitcoin ethos. If you've been around 3 years, like think about some of our influencers that we know, like family, right? Their reputation is more valuable than $100,000 cash grab. And knowing who these signers are, what's going on. Someone, just, hey, where's the multi-sig? Oh, we're not doing that because whatever. And now it's already feeling scammy, right?
One thing that as we talk about this, I couldn't remember what the person's name was, but it was called Quadriga, and it was back in 2018 when the founder had died, and I think 250 million was locked up in the wallets. I don't know if they finally found the seed phrases, but I mean, when we're just talking about these things, I mean, there's like a bunch of examples. If you just like just do a random search, or if you ask ChatGPT for some examples, and people coming in new, like the newcomers and the noobs and people wanting to get in, like there's just so like my mom always tells me like, I hope you're not investing in that Bitcoin. And I'm like, Mom, not only am I investing in it, I'm actually doubling down.
Yeah, it's my savings account. It's better than real estate or anything else to beat inflation.
But a lot of people don't understand that either. And what you're talking about, Mike, the concept of reputation, that's actually what we're actually going to help Web3 creators do. And I'm not trying to shill the market.
No. I want to hear about this. Yes, this is what we're here for.
Well, we're actually here for you guys and what you're building.
No, I mean me and all the audience. Like, let's do this reputation thing. What you got? Lay a little bit on me.
Well, yeah. I mean, let me actually can I just show you really quick?
Yes, please.
Look, so this is what we have today. We're actually going to launch on mainnet on December 1st. And so when Huddlestacks and I started Zero Authority, he was actually doing a whole NFT calendar site. Like this was like the beginning of NFTs on Stacks, and it kind of got scammy and overpopulated from there. And then you had the whole everything. I'm going to launch everything as an NFT, and so him and I, we came together and we realized a lot of people are working and collaborating together, whether they're collaborating on Twitter or whether they find each other on Discord. And then, we see all the messages going back and forth like, hey, I'd love for you to work on my project. I'd love for you to design some art. I'd love for you to write my backend code. I can pay you in crypto. Okay, well, how are you going to do that? And how am I going to deliver the work? So him, like, and keep in mind, we collaborate with people online all the time. Now, a lot of people don't know Huddlestack's real identity. I mean, I'm probably like one of a handful of people who actually know who he is. So for him being pseudonymous, it's really important to build some reputation, right? So for him, it's going to be important to when someone makes an offer, and let me sign the wallet here. So let me sign the wallet. And over time, what we'd love to do is like allow people to come in and sign up for their organization. Something that we want to enable, and let me share this really quick. What we want to enable is the ability for people to come into the Cerulean marketplace and be able to set up their organization. With that setup of your organization, what you'll be able to do is have people working on your team. You'll be able to make requests to other creators and be able to project manage that all in one place, right? So we kind of say it's like almost like a Fiverr meets like a LinkedIn meets like a payment platform, because what we're trying to do, because Web3 is this all-encompassing environment where you can do all these things, right? And you don't have to be locked down to one use case. It just continually evolves over time. The probably the number one thing I get excited about, not to mention like the reputation on chain, Mike, but the number one thing I probably tell people is, once we get started and once we keep growing, what we'll be able to do is have this open standard for all of Web3, where anyone, anywhere can see how work is being done on chain and people earning reputation. And so like that concept of reputation, what you just said, like if I'm completely anonymous, at least there's a place where I can go and see that we don't have the open profiles right now today, but what you will be able to see is profile data on people who are completely anonymous or pseudonymous, or they might be a known person and have a real ID, but they kind of go back and forth between pseudonymity and their real ID. Kind of like you're Overlord on Twitter, but you're known as Mike too sometimes, So that's kind of like what we see, and then like the beginning of what we're trying to do is the beginning of the Cerulean marketplace is going to be where people can connect with each other and be able to work together, say what type of work you want to get done. Once you say that that's the kind of work you want to get done, how many stacks do you want to commit to getting that work done, and then submit the offer, sign the transaction, and then everything's ready to go. So that's where, and then once you, the magic of Web3 too is everyone's a creator, right, Mike? So if you come into the Cerulean marketplace and you say, you know what, I want to update my profile and I want to do these things. Maybe I'm good at blogging. Maybe I'm good at some education content. Anyone at any point can hire each other, right? That's the magic of these peer-to-peer marketplaces. And when you get a notification for someone made you an offer, you'll be able to accept it. If you don't want to, a couple of these are already, but if you didn't agree with the work that they committed, then you don't have to commit all to it, and then they'll get a notification to go in and accept. Maybe it was 75%, and you said, you know what, you didn't deliver everything, but I like it, and they agree, yeah, I didn't deliver everything, and then on the other end of the side, you have pending work where you could see, I made this request to Mike here, and we're going to do some work together, and you're going to deliver, and in the Discord, it'll connect us together. So this is the beginning of what we hope is this platform where reputation over time becomes something more valuable.
This is, you're nailing it. This is such what is needed now, and it's at the right time. I mean, people, even me, right? Like, as someone who might want to hire some people, especially knowing that they found their way to this, which means they're already into stacks and Bitcoin and stuff, right? So now I know they already know what I'm talking about. Like, this is wonderful, and I think this could grow from our current niche. And as we see all these average, everyday sort of tech users coming in and discovering it through art and music and rare set collectability and stuff, this is going to be super valuable to have as infrastructure.
The only one last thing I wanted to say is I get really excited. And so this could be the beginning where where we think like products like Asigna will be important, because something that we're realizing we get questions about is like, how can we create our organization and then add, let's say like we want to add super admins so other admins can go carry out the work, right? Like, so there's going to be the ability, Mike, you want to set a profile, you want to do some work, go do it. That's great. Asigna wants to set this up and be able to work with others, and then have a multi-sig where multiple people can say, if the work is complete, is the work being done? That's also going to be an option. And then something like kind of really far out, and where this whole concept of people will have open standards for reputation, and we probably would even have to do like a new SIP where because we'll probably start by using the NFT standard, but we'll create like a profile schema. Because one of the things I always think, and Huddlestacks and we think it's great that we went from username and password to connect your wallet. But then as we made that transition, we're still in this place where you connect your wallet. Hey, update your profile on this site. You connect your wallet on 030. Hey, update your profile here. It should be like really simple where you connect your wallet and you already have your profile ready to go, and all you have to do is share it. And if you want to update that information on the standard SIP or the standard contract, update that information, and then anytime you log into another place, just grant access. So that's another thing that we see coming that can really change mindsets. Let's say, this Web3 thing is really important, and I see why connecting my wallet with my own profile schema is really powerful. And not to mention, I can see that people are working together, and I can actually now there's some the web of value is like really coming to the forefront. I can really see how this could be important.
I mean, if you're going to implement this at the protocol level, I would love to support that. I think that would almost instantly make Stacks the default home of DeFi, because number one, it's going to be easier to use if you implement something like that. And number two, it's in the right ecosystem. It's on the God chain, right? It's recording its record with Bitcoin. So that, just, let me know. I don't know if you guys have the SIP written or not, but definitely keep me in the loop on that. That's something I'd love to support, because definitely some critical infrastructure, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what I'd really love to see too is it would be, the profile, what could be in the profile could be fairly open. So it's like, hey, we want to see, maybe someone's a Asigna signer of, this multisig that's, investment company in Stacks or something like that. And it's like you want to see what a person is, what they're doing on chain, and it's super easy to pull that data from. I think what it would kind of do is it would go from like sign in, like the Web 2 version of like sign in with login and password. It would almost turn into like sign in with Google, right? So it's like all of that stuff would come in, except it would be, open source data, anything from basically what you do on chain with that wallet.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm a steward on the D grants program for Stacks. So people, come to me to ask and bounce ideas, and I'm sworn to secrecy and won't violate it. But in general, I'm just going to say that there's a lot in development, and a lot of that is getting interest that would fit right in with this. This is really cool.
And we actually got a grant back in 2021, which is another reason why we thought this is needed, because we knew a lot of people in the foundation, and we know a lot of the teams, and so we're super thankful for that, because they gave us the money, and then they gave us the first and second round, and we knew we were going to build, and we had some really good support too early on. But it was still hard, right? It was really, all of these things are hard. A lot of I will say like 95% of people who got a grant, I mean, Mike, I don't know where they are. I have no idea.
I know where they are. They're getting more grants elsewhere.
Like, like where they say you're I'm just what's the farming meme, like it ain't much but it's better than nothing else. But like there are people who do grant farming, right? Like, you do your DeFi mining and farming, like people, go out to farm rewards. And so one of the things we said, and we hope to work with, we were talking to Hero Gamer to say, let's run people through this. And he was saying, well, people need the first milestone. And I'm like, look, we have 25K in the pool. No one should be making more than a request for 1,000. And if you need 500 to get started, we're building software. So it's already hard stuff anyways. So if you need 500 to get started, chances are you're never going to get started, because I can tell you 500 isn't going to motivate anyone.
I've been coaching a lot of people on how to build their proposal. And, like you're saying, you got to explain why this makes the goal you set achievable. And you can't come in and ask for 25 grand. You're not going to, quit your job. And that's kind of the point. We want people to experiment and take some shots. And I just keep explaining to everyone, think about the first step. I'm like, okay, so you want to make this big collective, all these people are going to come together. It's huge. It's a grand idea. That's great. Think big for sure. But what's the first step? All right. What do you need to prove first? So maybe you take $1,000 from the grant, right? You use $20 to go nitro on Discord, and then the rest you break out some prizes and you host whoever you're trying to attract to your platform. And then, every week give out a little bit of cash prize. And at the end of it, if you've built whatever the thing was, MVP version of it, and you've got these people that have used it, you can go back for the next grant or a bigger grant, or maybe go to an accelerator at that point. So you could be creative with it. But like you say, you can't just, take $500 and think that someone's going to build a DeFi platform from scratch.
And, I saw someone asking if they were going to build GameFi. Now keep in mind, it was just kind of, a headline, a hashtag. I'm going to build GameFi. Okay, well, what does that mean and exactly what you're going to do? Well, I'm going to request 5,000. So once you give me the 5,000, then I'll pump more. It's like, no, buddy.
It's so funny. The people come in, they're like, well, I'm gonna put land on Ordinals, and we're like, how? And they're like, well, just gonna mint them, and need 20,000. And you're like, what are you on about?
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's some people I know that they're kind of doing very like iterative stuff. So they want to go and like do I don't know, maybe they want to make like a series of videos or something. And it's like, well, maybe to motivate the people to get all of it, yeah, maybe you could divide it up into like deliverables, right? And something like what we have would be good for that. But a lot of these folks, it's like they just need they need very definable goals, right? So don't try and recreate the world, just make a couple steps.
Mike, we're running short on time, and before we do run out of time, one thing I wanted to just shout out, and similar to Asigna, like, hey, we're going to build a multisig. Well, we already have that. Well, I already built it and I'm going to launch it. Oh, wow, this thing is really nice and works really well. So I tell a lot of people in the D grants program, or anyone thinking about building, even if it sounds like something that already exists, if you go off and you go build this thing and people can actually use it, the conversation is vastly different than, I have an idea and I might do something, but I need $1,000.
100%. I would rather hear that you're giving us another option to something that exists than just amorphous, underpants gnomes, question marks, profits.
Yeah, give me that 20,000 because I'm gonna go build that land on Ordinals, and you watch. I want to show you. Well, why don't you go do it and then come back? And if you do build land, hell, we'll give you 75K. How about that?
I tell people that all the time. I'm like, look, if you've got a reputation you're bringing with you for delivering, then yeah, go in there with an idea. Tell us how you're going to accomplish it, what your market research is. If you're just arriving on the scene and you don't have an MVP or even some sort of, mock-up of what sort of expected mechanics there are, and it's getting real hard, right? And this is why I tell a lot of people, first of all, it's okay to go through things a few times, right? I've been part of a lot of startups, and most of the times we've gone through any accelerator, incubator, educator, whatever, we didn't win the grand prize. We didn't win first, second, third. But when we listened to all the advice and everything we learned, and we did that accelerator again, well, now we've done all the forms right, and we've presented it right, like they expect, and so you perform better. Not only that, this space is bleeding edge, and it's always changing. I'm in my 40s, and I'm going to these seminars and these educators and incubators and stuff, and I've got guys that are maybe 2 years out of college and business school, and I'm taking notes on what they're saying because they have experience in a different way than I do. You never stop learning. All these things have value.
Yeah, that's well said. Thank you for that perspective, Mike. And I'm closer to 40 than I am closer to 30. I hit 36 recently, and first kiddo, another one on the way. So
Congrats.
Thank you. I share your sentiment that things keep evolving, things keep changing. Some things are definitely you can carry with you, just being a professional and all that comes with being a professional. But yeah, it's just so many things have changed when you look back over the last 25 years. Before we get out of here though, we got to talk about just Asigna really quick and just give folks a sense of, if they want to start using it, like, how do they get set up? Where do they go? How should they learn about it? I do. Let me pull your site on the screen here. I really like the way you guys have your site and the just how clean it looks and everything. And is this the actual screenshot of the supported wallets, and this is how it looks? That's a really clean format.
Yes. We want to start with simplicity and focus and the features that we saw were in immediate need. We love feedback. So here's how cool it is. Okay. Most people don't need this, certainly not right now, especially if you're just getting started. It's not necessary. If your hot wallet has $27 or $200 in it, this is too much hassle to protect that. If you have whatever you consider life-changing money or devastating money to lose, now you're going to want to start to think about alternative ways to protect it. And once again, putting it on a piece of steel is very good. Survives fire, that's great. But if you die suddenly and your grandma or mom doesn't know what to do with that piece of steel, then you haven't accomplished much. So I would encourage everyone, just for the sake of knowing how it works, just in case one day they find themselves on a board or a committee or a DAO, or just in case one morning they wake up and realize that their Goosenals did another 100x on top of this last 10x or whatever, right? So you can set up what's called a one of one. And that means you go to asigna.io and you can pick stacks or Bitcoin for your ordinals and BRC20s, whatever you're interested in securing. And you can just say there's only one signature required and there's only one person to sign. And now you just kind of have a sock puppet for your hero or leather, or it's leather now, leather or Xverse or whatever wallet, right? And that's the most basic way to get started. And then you can play a little bit, move one of those rugged ordinals in there, move some something that's a little lower value, like a Milady or something, and then put a little bit of Bitcoin in there for the TX and learn how to move it out, because there's like a little extra step where you sign, and then in a one of one, it's kind of superfluous, but normally there's more signers. So you do a sign and then you wait for everyone else to sign, and then you can execute that transaction once the threshold's met. But for any, just normal folks out there that aren't managing millions, if you just are curious, want to educate yourself for the future, understand what it means firsthand, you can just set up a one of one, move some stuff back and forth. Um, it's super simple. And if anyone out there now or in the future, if you're a DAO or you're getting structured and you kind of want to have it done right from the very beginning, please reach out to me. Right now I can make some time, to help founders one-on-one get set up, make sure they really understand. I know we got a lot of people from the art world and other places coming in. So I'm happy to try to protect anyone. I don't want to see another disaster. I don't want a major project to, evaporate and cause the next downfall. So, yeah, I mean, and we would love feedback from all kinds of users. Obviously, I come from a tech background. All our team does. We try to think things through from fresh eyes, but I'm sure we're missing all of it, because we know what to expect, right? It's like we know the end of the movie, so we're able to thread it. But we love feedback. I'll probably be doing some promotions just to get more user feedback, to attract people. Even though, once again, these won't be people that necessarily need it right now, they can let us know, hey, I didn't know how to get my ordinal out because this screen's weird, and then we can work on it.
Yeah, I tell you what, yeah, it's really awesome, and how you guys have it set up right now too. It does feel really clean already. I don't have a whole lot of useful feedback that I can give you guys, because it was a pretty solid experience when I was trying it. Um, uh, yeah, it's really cool. So just look forward to using it more often. And honestly, those people that think they might not need it yet, they might get comfortable using it, and they like that extra layer of protection. It's almost like multi-factor authentication for stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, basically the gnosis of Bitcoin over here, with some kind of extra features. And like you say, you might not need it now, but it can happen fast. And if you make yourself familiar now, you're not going to be panicking over how to transfer, 2 million in ordinals somewhere, right? Or 2 million in stacks tokens that now you got to lock down the LP pairs for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mike, this was a phenomenal conversation, and I'm sorry we kept you way longer. The conversation was just flowing, and it's kind of reminds me of those cool nights when you're with a buddy and you guys maybe have some cigars and you kind of lose track of time, and next thing you know you're just kind of laughing and reminiscing. And this was one of those conversations for us, Mike, that we're just so impressed with the team that's building Asigna, and we're excited to use it as well if we can. We want to turn it on sooner than later, but just phenomenal what you've built so far, and congratulations on getting into the accelerator. And I know this is going to be a successful product, and people are going to use it. And people can find you at, is it Overlord?
So the actual handle is at All Hail Overlord. I refuse to give it up, which is why I'm stuck with that childish name. But you'll see Overlord, parentheses Mike, BTC user. I've got an OMB with green eyes. But even more important than that is Asigna. I'm sure you'll see me reposting their stuff out there. DMs, Twitter's being weird about giving me alerts. Give me 24 hours if anyone reaches out for anything. And yeah, you guys are amazing hosts. I can tell y'all are like, passionate OGs for the very reasons you said. This just flowed. I wasn't really watching the time. And, it's a really logical and informative conversation. I think it's framed the right way.
yeah, thanks for coming on, and Yeah, it's a real pleasure talking with you, and I know we'll be hearing from you again soon, hopefully on uh, this, or if we do a Spaces or something like that. Seems like what you guys are building is going to be here for the long term, and so yeah, it'll be really great to connect with some time passing and see where you guys are at and what all you guys have done too. So
Heck yeah. Let's talk again anytime. You guys, even just vague structure questions for these sorts of setups or, basic security stuff, let me know. I'm happy to sit on a panel and wait for a question that needs answering.
And if you could hold on a few moments, and just high compliments from you, we really appreciate that. We know a lot of people will tune in to the recordings of these and want to know more about how to build out their protocols and how to think about their teams. And so we just want to still be the voice of reason, and use our position to highlight what all the good builders are doing, and let people know Asigna team, they're a resource to you now. Find Michael on Twitter. If you have questions, reach out to him, and he's a part of the D grant. So that's even awesome. We love when people get just more ingrained in the community, and that's awesome, Mike. So if you could hang on for a minute, I'm just going to wrap up here, and it was a great conversation, and really impressed with Asigna.
Absolutely. I'll hang out. You guys are awesome. Do the wrap and I'll be here.
Zero Authority is a community of people who believe in open source and permissionless systems. Thanks for supporting the community. Remember why you started.